Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again to another episode, an inspiring episode of the Ntomodo Show on Ntomodo TV. I'm your host, Ambassador Dr. Wonyo Simere, Dr. O, your internet auntie. I'm also the president of the African Women Mobilization Commission, a nonprofit organization taking proactive action for change in the lives of women and children. What does Ntomodo mean? Ntomodo is an Igbo Nigerian word that means words of wisdom that I share to add to your repertoire. Today, however, joining me in this conversation is Professor Jamila Franklin. I'll bring her in very shortly. Now, I would like to welcome my viewers on Facebook page, on YouTube, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn. Thank you for joining me today. Uh, why does this show matter? This is a vibrant space where our stories aren't just murmured softly, they are belted out like a lively karaoke night. I say that all the time, I love to. This platform is your ticket to amplifying the voices that define our community. And trust us, it's a celebration you won't want to skip. By joining in, you gain valuable insights and become a part of a movement that champions success, culture, and unity. Imagine it as the ultimate potluck where everyone brings their finest dish. But there's even more. To keep this momentum going, we need your support. Tap that subscribe button and become a crucial part of our journey. Every subscription is like a cheerful high five that fuels our mission to deliver even more inspiring content. So let's make some noise together and show the world the strength of the Ntomoto community. Because if we're going to spark change, we might as well do it with style and plenty of smiles. But before we go any further, I would like to share this beautiful artwork. I love this. And I play it every time now because the owner of this video has allowed me to do so. It's called Sorial Visual Arts, Vision rather Arts. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful program, videos. And I tell you, I love it because I love to use it when I feel like, things are not going the way that I want it to go and kind of upset about something. It's just the color. And I'm telling you, if you go to YouTube and you play this video during the times of stress, it will brighten your life. It will make you think differently. So I'm just going to let you enjoy that for a moment and then before we go further into this program. Yes, just a little taste of that. And I don't want to play too much of it because I do want you to go to Surreal Vision Arts on YouTube and give him support. That's very creative AI creation. And I think that's the height of creativity. And it will be really nice. He will really appreciate it if you go to Surreal Vision Arts and subscribe to his website. So now let's continue with our program today. But you know what? Before we continue today, I really want to say congratulations to someone, and that is my daughter, my very precious daughter, Kelena, who is now a PhD. She has she's 20. I'm getting a little emotional talking about it because I know what this child went through to achieve this. She's a dedicated candidate, a doctoral candidate at the University of Florida. She achieved something incredible on July 10th, 2026. She defended her dissertation titled Biofilms of the Upper Florida Aquifer, Contributions to Microbial Diversity, Distribution, and biogeochemical activity in a changing climate, earning her a PhD in microbiology and cell science. Her work is groundbreaking and soon she will be published. To say that we, the family and friends, are proud of this remarkable young woman is an understatement. She has soared through high school, junior college, earned her bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and now proudly holds a PhD, all without asking for a cent. She believed in herself and proved that with hard work, everything is possible. We are so very proud of this young, I call her my black butterfly. So, congratulations to her. And I wish her, and we all wish her, continued success as she continues to make things happen, not just for her, but for other African children. It goes to show that there is nothing our children cannot achieve if we believe in them and if we give them the opportunity to climb. So keep climbing, Kalena. We know we are going to see you at the very top. So now let's continue. It is my pleasure now to bring in my co-host today. Um, I always think it's a nice thing to bring people who have something to say, something to share. And her name, of course, many of you have seen her on my show. Her name is Jamila Franklin, Professor Jamila Franklin. Tell you a little bit about her. She is the founder and CEO of Oyinda Enterprises, an accomplished holistic psychotherapist, certified aromatherapist and teacher, certified Reiki master and teacher, certified metaphysician and teacher, reflexologist, energy transformation practitioner, holistic life coach, radio talk show host, college professor, and award-winning published author. Professor Franklin brings in a wealth of experience and training to her current private practice in holistic health and spiritual wellness. She is the vice chair of the Igbo Global Icon Foundation, executive board member. She is an African American who has welcomed Igbo land as her African homeland. And being Igbo, it is indeed my honor to welcome my sister, Professor Jamila Franklin. Hey, sister girl. That's what I call you.
Greetings, Queen. How are you?
Greetings. My Igbo sister.
Yeah, great rising. So, yes.
How are you? I
I'm
love your
doing,
green.
thank
You're
you.
always wearing all these
I'm sorry. I didn't hear.
beautiful. So you're always wearing all these beautiful colors. I always love it on
Oh,
you.
thank you. Just reflecting back your greatness and your beauty always. We're just reflecting it back and forth. Yeah, and I'm so happy because this is my solar return / birthday month. So I'm celebrating.
Happy birth,
Yeah,
happy birthday to you.
yeah,
How does it feel now? I know God has blessed you, Chineke. Okay, has
yes,
blessed you with another year. How does it
yes.
feel? Tell us
Syndicate.
about it.
Well, I feel great. I feel very grateful to have made it to this particular stage. And I didn't think, when you're 15 and 10, my age now seems like, oh my gosh, archaic. I never thought I didn't even think this far. Okay. I never even
Yeah,
thought this far. So I'm just really thankful and grateful. Yeah.
yeah. Well, congratulations to you. We are hoping for many, many, many more years.
Mm,
Great, good health, and lots of opportunity to travel. This is the time
yes.
to do that.
Yes.
This is the time to travel. So anyway, we have a show today. And for some people, this show is going to be a bit annoying. Okay, but it has to be said. And the focus of our program today um, the current immigration crisis in South Africa. But before I say anything about it, I want to play a video, okay? And then we can start talking about it. Here we go.
A war on foreigners, marching across South Africa's cities to warn African immigrants here that it's time to leave.
The leaders of this march are saying that it's peaceful, but it doesn't feel peaceful. They're brandishing weapons. They're in the heart of Johannesburg's central business district, making it clear to everyone here
As the city's residents navigate through hundreds of protesters, they're targeted and attacked.
He just tasered him. Feels like a witch hunt. They keep pointing out people that they think may be foreign and then attacking them. We just saw a man get tasered on the side of this street. Are you stopping any acts of violence, or are you just organizing the march?
Even the lighter moments of this march are channeled at telling foreigners to get out. So what is fueling this aggression?
I'm unemployed. There's no employment. You can't find anything.
Now we are focusing on the illegal foreign nationals. Yes, which are black Africans. That's why we are focusing on illegal foreign. Let me tell you, we go to a hospital, they are illegal foreigner occupying a hospital. You go to school, they are illegal foreigner.
Members of Operation Dudula, the military name of this xenophobic movement, can be seen entering the ground of this school earlier this year, harassing parents in front of their children, who they suspect are undocumented. In other instances, they've prevented foreign nationals from accessing healthcare. High unemployment and economic inequality has entrenched poverty in South Africa. But the country is still a refuge to Africans from across the continent, now seen by some here as unwelcome guests in a state of growing scarcity.
I have to pause. When you see Africans chasing their own people away, it's very disturbing. But I mean, there are two parts to every story. I imagine that historically, there's been a surge of immigrants, in South Africa. And now, of course, South Africa is now engaged in anti-immigrant sentiment, So this, as you can see, calling for the immigrants to leave the country. Now, obviously, this has resulted in the closure of numerous shops and businesses, with many communities now struggling to cope without the contributions of the immigrants. The question is, why is it happening? What is motivating this push? I mean, these are our people, these Africans, we keep telling them, the people keep telling them, go back to Africa, go back to Africa. Everywhere Africans find themselves all over the world, they are told, go back to Africa. Then when they go back to Africa, to the African nations, then they also are told, leave our country, go back to your country, go fix your country. So what is motivating the push to remove immigrants, especially when many African nations supported South Africa during the apartheid, their struggle with apartheid? That's where it gets me. It's important to point out the historical context, to understand the present. Let's look back a little bit. At the end of apartheid, South Africa was seen as a beacon of hope for many Africans. Countries across Africa rallied behind it, providing support and sanctuary to those fighting against oppression. Now, fast forward to today, and we see a totally different narrative unfolding. a narrative fueled by frustration, economic hardship, and social tensions. Now, in recent years, South Africa has faced significant economic challenges, including high unemployment rates. We know that, escalating crime and a struggling economy. Unfortunately, many locals have turned to immigrants as scapegoats, which is how it usually works, for whatever the issues are in any country, they turn to the immigrants, blaming them for job losses and rise in crime. This has led to widespread protests. It's still going on. At times, it has become very violent, xenophobic attacks, you know. Here we are. The idea behind asking immigrants to leave is rooted in desire to reclaim jobs and resources for South African citizens. The government and some community leaders may believe that reducing the immigrant population will alleviate economic pressure, but it doesn't, and restore order. It doesn't do that. What it does, however, is that they have overlooked the essential role of immigrants, what role they play in the economy. Because many of these immigrants that they're chasing away contribute significantly to various sectors: retail, transportation, hospitality, even in the hospitals. They often bring unique skills, entrepreneurial spirit, and cultural diversity that enhance community life. Yet, the narrative has shifted to one of fear and blame. And the very people who helped South Africa, the very people who gave them jobs. Now, I was watching a video recently where there are South Africans lined up begging for work. All the shops are shut down. All the shops are shut down. The people who gave them work, they have left. Now they're asking them to come back. Come back for what? Once bitten, twice shy. If you're going to be chased out, obviously, you're going to be very reluctant to come back. So it's going to take a long time for the immigrants to come back, if they do come back. In the meantime, South African economy is going to suffer tremendously. That's the irony. The countries that invested in South Africa's liberation are now seeing their citizens turned away. Their own people, our people. When they don't want us in a foreign land, when we come back to the continent, we should at least feel that we're welcome, be welcomed. We should feel like we belong. But now, they are now seeking to invite back skilled workers. They're not going to come back. The trust has been eroded, and safety concerns remain top of mind for a whole lot of people. If it was me, why would I want to go back there? I would be, you'll be reluctant. So what is their way? Well, here's another thing, and then I'll bring my guest in to say something about this matter. One of the things that's really bothersome for me is that they are white foreigners, but they're not being chased away. Think about what I'm saying. There are foreigners who are white. Let me play this so you can see what I mean. Let me play this.
Who are white people. Many of them are found in Cape Town. One of them the other day tweeted that I came to Cape Town for tourism 6 months. I can't believe I even stayed for more than 12 months. It's so nice. This thing can't hear that he's saying it's illegal in the country, but it doesn't apply to white people. There was never an outrage on Twitter that she doesn't have visa. Had a black person said that, or my brother, the way is so nice here in Hillborough. I didn't even renew my visas. You will go home the following day.
That's right.
Our own people will go hunting for that person. But I looked at that thing of that white lady with interest, and I wanted to see what is going to be the reaction. Nothing.
Nothing. But we react negatively to our own people for having the audacity to want to be in Africa. So many of them die. So many Africans die trying to get to the Western world. But so many of them are being encouraged, stay in Africa. And then they go to South Africa, and South Africa is chasing them away, telling them, go back, go fix your own country. And yet they forget that these people you're chasing away were the ones who helped you fix your own country. Now, I know that there are other reasons that I'm not very aware of, but one thing I do know for a fact is we should, as Africans, feel secure on the continent. We should feel that we're welcome. We should feel that we matter. This colonial mentality that it's okay to chase away your own people, because quite frankly, we are one. It wasn't until colonization that we were divided into different countries. We were all one. We used to shop with each other, trade with each other, go back and forth. Now we've learned the way of discrimination. The very people who colonized us were learning their ways. Chase your people away, discriminate against your people, but not against us. Check what's going on. What this gentleman just talked about. I was just looking at the lines and lines and lines of Africans being chased out of South Africa. Black people, not a single white in the midst. And I'm not being racist. I'm just keeping it real. Not a single white person in the midst. Jamila, what do you think about this? Give me your thoughts.
Well, I think imperialism, colonialism, and self-destruction is global. And wherever Europeans have gone, they have a playbook, and it works. And we have to understand how effective it is. In America, we ascribe to the Willie Lynch syndrome, where back in the 70s, this position came out that white people were going to have us turn against each other, hate each other, kill each other. And that's what we're experiencing today, and not come together as a collective. So the same thing on the continent of Africa. And I feel very saddened by this, because what it does is it's teaching ethnocentrism, having people come together based on the particular ethnic group. Because the whole thing is this: the only continent on this planet that's rich in resources is the continent of Africa.
That's right.
And Europeans know this. So if they can keep us fighting amongst each other, distrusting each other, they have won. Because what happens is France, England, all the European countries have bitten off a piece of the continent, and people now like Captain Ibrahim Traore is saying, no, we're kicking you out. So in South Africa is using the same playbook that they see here in America, in terms of anyone who is an immigrant is now suspect. Now, on the other hand, when people come into your country, if people are coming into different countries, and if they're very disrespectful, like it's happened here in America, people come here, they've got to be very disrespectful to us African Americans. So if people come into a country and they don't honor the culture, the traditions, and the people who are indigenous to that land, then there's a problem. But I haven't heard that in terms of South Africa. I have not heard them say that the people from other countries like Nigeria and other countries have come into the country and been disrespectful. What I've heard you say, and what I've heard, is that the unemployment rate has surged because the people who were from other African nations who came to South Africa brought their skills and their service to the country, which means that they were adding to the country, not taking away. I have not heard that any of the African immigrants to South Africa used disparaging remarks or thought that they were better than the indigenous South Africans. Whereas over here, that has not been the case. People have been very disparaging. So with South Africa, it seems like the same playbook is being played, though. Whoever initiated this purge of immigrants out of the country of South Africa did so without really understanding the far-reaching consequences of it. And so, per your analysis, the country now is having an issue because the immigrants were they added to the country, and maybe in some instances we're employed in jobs that South Africans may have not had access to or were not employed in those jobs. Now, see what happens though, whenever you go into a different country, sometimes countries treat the people who are immigrants differently than indigenous people. They treat them, they give them more grace. In this country, that has happened. If an immigrant comes to this country, they can get a loan that African Americans can't get. They are indoctrinated into hating us by giving them propaganda that they buy into, and they don't explore and come into our community to find out the truth. So that becomes a problem. And that's a playbook that Europeans have used in South Africa. They use it all the way around. What they do is they bring the people in who are immigrants. They tell them false information about the indigenous people. They tell them not to mingle with them because if they have a plight of being poor, they're poor because they desire to be poor. Not that there's a system in place to keep them poor. And I know when the late great Nelson Mandela became president, that was one of the problems because South Africans, especially the men, had to go away from their families to work in dangerous coal mines to provide for their families.
Coal mines,
yeah, they didn't see their families for months, sometimes years. And so they had that economic disparity going on. So then if you bring in people from another country, even though they look like you, and you're struggling, that can be an issue. So it's like, this is a very complex situation. The Europeans have crafted, I'm telling you, and I don't believe in this country that Black folk can be racist, because racism is an economic system that excludes Black people based on color. We don't control the banks. We don't control any of the economic systems in this country. So when people call Black people racist, I say, you don't understand what the definition of racism is. It's not, you can be prejudiced, you can discriminate, you can be biased. But no Black person in this country, because we don't control the economic systems and the banking system, can be racist. It's an economic system that excludes people based on race. So you can, like I said, you can be biased, you can discriminate, and you can be prejudiced. But racism is not a term that any Black person in America should ever use regarding another Black person. It is not possible. In other countries where people are, and I found it very interesting that in South Africa, that they did not deport white people. But it makes sense. Globally, people, and even though they're only 7% of the world population, which is startling to me, how they can control the minds of 93% of the world, and they do. People who believe that white people are better, that they bring economic prosperity to the country, that they need them. That's the colonization that South Africans have carried over from the British rule. We need them. They are going to promote our economy. We're not going to deport them because they are the stable backbone in our country. And a lot of them own land. That small percentage of white South Africans, I believe I heard somewhere that they own like 91% of the land. So it's interesting how this works because it's so entrenched in the economy that it would take.
Yeah, but I agree with you. But you know what? The survival requires that we start doing our own thinking.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
world is a Serengeti, survival of the fittest. You can't keep talking about what other people are doing to you when you keep doing it to yourself. Now they have laid the foundation. Now when a farmer plants seeds, the seeds will die if you don't water it, right? Am I right?
Mhm.
But when we water the seeds that they planted, then it becomes our problem because we're letting it grow. So at some point, Black people all over the world will have to start thinking for themselves. They have to turn off those doggone. I mean, I know it sounds like it's simplistic, but they have to turn off the volume on that television, on that radio that controls our minds, the churches that control our minds, and tell us that they are they, we are we. You know, your problem if you tell somebody said historically, if you can convince a white person, okay, that their problem is that Black person, you can pick their pockets. You can tell them anything and they'll believe
Yeah.
it. When you tell the South Africans that the problem is the Nigerians, is the Ghanaians, is the Kenyans, is the whomsoever, and you buy into that, you start thinking that they're your problem and you have to get rid of them. But you're not thinking, what happens when I get rid of them? What happens? We're not thinking about that part, the consequences of our actions.
Mhm.
You said something here that's very true. What happens if you come to to America and you're African? You have to respect the people who helped to build this country. You have to. I don't care what the media says about African Americans. You have to use your mind. These are your relatives. These are your people. You cannot embrace whatever nonsense you've been taught and use that against them. Because quite frankly, you're using it against you. If I walk out here, you and I, if we go in somewhere and I don't start speaking, Professor, nobody knows if I'm Nigerian, if I'm, all they see is two Black people, two Black women.
Mhm.
You understand? You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But so we cannot discriminate against each other
Mhm.
because the
Yeah.
rest of the world don't see us separately. They see us as now. One of the things that is very true, there are Africans who come here and they just do the stupidest things. Not all of them. I think to be fair, it's not all Africans. I'm an African. I'm a Nigerian. I love African American. I even married an African American because I love the community. I see them as part of my family. They're my
Mhm.
people. So there are many, many such people who see African Americans as part of their culture. Unfortunately, you hear more about those who are the weak minds. That's what I call them. The ones who
Mhm.
don't take the time to learn, the ones who don't take the time to understand that their success in this country is because of the African American struggles. They made it possible.
Mhm.
So you have weak minds who don't know that, who listen to whatever nonsense they hear, and they carry that. It becomes part of their repertoire, and that becomes their modus operandi. It's not mine, and there's so many people like me. So, but when we talk about Africans, when African Americans rightfully are indignant, are angry at immigrants who come here and disrespect them, I understand that, but they need to understand it's not every immigrant that does that. It's not.
Mhm.
There are many immigrants, African immigrants, who are behind you,
Mhm.
who go out there and march with you when you do march,
Mhm.
who
Mhm.
vote for your own good to make sure that you get what you need. Because if you're doing well, I'm doing well. There are so many Africans, there are millions of Africans in this country who don't think like the weak minds.
Mhm. Mhm.
You
I
see
think
what
that
I'm saying?
that's,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
I think that
So
that's
my
global.
hope,
Mhm.
yeah, my hope is that Africans all over the world will pause for a moment and understand that their survival is in their hands.
Mhm.
Their
Mhm.
survival is in their hands. It's not up to any what people say about us. If
Mhm.
somebody says something about Professor Jamila Franklin that's negative, and I agree with that, tomorrow it will be me they'll be talking about because
Mhm.
we're the same thing. Who knows where I'm from? Only when
Mhm.
you hear my accent, or you know I'm from Nigeria, do you know that I'm not an African American? And if you went to Nigeria today, Jamila, dressed the way you're dressed, they don't know if you're an African American unless you open your mouth and tell them you're African American. All they see is an African. You see what I'm saying? So what is going on in our world, where this is our minds are a tumultuous asylum of frustration and confusion. That's where we are as Black people. At some point, we're going to have to stop blaming others for our problems and find a way to solve it as a collective. That's why I love Kwanzaa. Now, all the holidays, Christmas, whatever, all of that that people celebrate. You know the one I celebrate? I celebrate Kwanzaa. Because with Kwanzaa, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's telling you exactly, it's laid down what you need to do. Unity. Who doesn't need unity? African people all over the world, we need unity. South Africa, they need to unify with other Africans. Now they're going to wives and asking for jobs, and the wives are saying, no, you want to clean my house? They're not going to give you those positions that the immigrants gave you. Now you're going back to apartheid, discriminatory practices. That's what's going to happen. So unity is important. The African Americans and the Africans, you have to unify. That's my thing. Any African that I know of that disparages African Americans is a complete tool. It's an idiot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think African Americans should understand there's something called ethnocentrism. You cannot be ethnocentric to the extent that you want to remove other Africans. Now, those who are rude, those who deserve to be deported to wherever, they deserve it. But it's not all Africans. And that's why when any African American, when Africans say anything negative about African Americans, I mean, I go to bat. Because you don't know these people. Your butt is here because of them. If it wasn't for them and the struggles that they went through, many of us will not be here today. Many of us have been here for many, many years. Why?
Exactly.
Because of you. Because of you. You know, but then I think it's important that we understand that in every community, you have bad apples. I've met some bad African Americans who hated me because I'm from Africa. And they call me all kinds of names, monkey, you name it. And tell me to go back. I have some individuals who say, I'm not part of that ape kingdom. I was a Black person. I told me that don't tell me I'm African because I'm not part of that ape kingdom. That's so even in high school, in college, it was difficult for me because many of the African Americans just stared at me. And when they asked me questions, that blew my mind. Really? That's what you think of us? But I understand why, though. That's the information that's presented to them. They don't know. If you don't know, you don't know. If all your shit when I was in Nigeria, the kind of things they told us about African Americans was horrible. But we didn't know it wasn't true. So you have parents telling their children, oh, you don't want to mingle with African Americans. They're lazy and all that kind of stuff. And then when you come here, you say, wait a minute. For those of us who have a mind, all that stuff is not true. That's not true. The kindest people I met on campus were African Americans who took me in. Then I started college at age 16 and a half. Mr. and Mrs. Burt, I'll never forget that Mr. Burt has passed away. Mrs. Burt is is elderly right now. But they became my family. They taught me what I know about the African American experience. They were so kind. You see? So if I want to talk about, such people shaped my attitude towards African Americans, because they were the real deal. It wasn't all that stuff they were telling me on television. It wasn't none of that. These people are kind. As a matter of fact, one person that made me so proud to be a Nigerian, was an African American woman who came from, I think she came from New York. Very beautiful, dark-skinned sister with teeth as white as pearl. We followed her like bees to honey, just to listen to her as young people, because she always told us, you guys are fine, you're beautiful. Where people were telling us, Eurocentric ways were better. You have to look European, all that stuff. But she told us no. She told us no. She used to wear her hair in big, beautiful fro. And all of us started trying to wear our whole, yeah, because she told us about Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. So you should see all of us trying to wear our hair in froze because it was she contradicted what we saw on television. Superfly, that's what it, uh, baggy pants with heels made of. I mean, some of the things, people wearing heels, big shoes with fish in it, looking all, lazy and all that. That's what they were showing us.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, some of our parents bought into that nonsense and started teaching their children who are coming abroad, oh, you don't want to. They didn't teach them that if you go abroad, those black people are the ones who are making it possible for you. They didn't teach them that. They taught them all kinds of nonsense that they heard themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So our world, Jamila, we have to take back our world. We can't blame others for where we are now. We have to take responsibility.
Yeah.
South Africa is going to pay the price. Oh, they're going to pay the price for this. It's already affecting their economy.
Yeah.
It's going to affect them. The shops are closed. Who's coming to open them?
Yeah.
Now they're begging. They are singing songs, begging for Africans to come back to South Africa. Come back, come back. Really? Who's coming back? Now, I dare say, if the government will do something, to make people feel comfortable coming back, I'm sure people will come back. Ultimately, I believe they will come back. But it's going to take a while. Once bitten, twice shy.
Mm-hmm.
And that, unfortunately, is what happens when you bite the finger that feeds you, or you just assume that everybody is bad because a few of them are bad. There's no, and I'll let you, I'll bring you back in. There's no country where you don't have criminals. None. I live in, I see crime in America. The kind of crime that I didn't know existed. There's crime in Nigeria. There's crime in all of Africa. There's crime everywhere. There's crime in Europe. But we can't assume that everybody is a criminal. And that is what's preventing us from coming together. That separation, that separatist mentality, divide and conquer, get one group to be mad at the one group. And then, sometimes when I go to, I have to turn off, as an African, I turn off TikTok, some of the things I hear they say about us, immigrants. It hurts my soul because I know I'm not that kind of person. And I know some of the Africans that I mingle with, they're not like that. Mm-hmm. I know of a group, an African group, every single, they're called the Mavericks. Every single election year, they're out there marching. They're out there getting votes. Registering people to vote. Who are they registering the vote for? Who are they registering the vote for? Not all people that look like you and I, but a lot of people that look like you and I, who are African Americans. We are out there marching for Keisha Bottoms. We're signing up people these Africans doing that because we believe in her. We believe in such leaders. So anyway, come on in.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you say, and we both have a background in psychology. So I think, having lived here, and my ancestry goes all the way back, and some people call themselves copper and all that other kind of stuff. That's a division too that these people have created to further divide us, because we are not Siberian Indians. The Indians that most people are referring to came over here from Siberia. We were here before, and some of us were transported here. So there are different ways in which we came here, because this was a landmass, and so people walked. But I agree with you on so many points. I think, though, when people don't know their history, you do have to teach them and tell them how we got here. Just to have people jump in and just not know how we are interconnected. becomes an issue. Because if people don't understand that every European group here identifies with their place of origin, Italians, Irish, Swiss, whatever, all of them. When it comes to us, they tell us you don't have a land base. So I'm saying to people, you need to identify, even if your great grandparents were here, they migrated from the continent of Africa. I mean, that's undisputable. So when people say that they're not from Africa, I said, yes, you are. Historically, you are. So when we see ourselves connected to a land base, then it's very hard for people to separate you. But they're able to do it even now. When I hear people talking about that copper, that's all coming. The real name for people who are melanated is alcabalins. It's not even indigenous people. So the folk haven't studied their history. Please listen, check out Lerone Bennett, John Henrik Clark, Carter G. Woodson, some of the older historians, to get the proper information. People are getting their information. See, I don't have TikTok because I know TikTok is a major colonizer. I don't deal with TikTok. People are looking to TikTok and they're listening to influencers. I majored in Africana Studies at Cornell University. So when I talk, I'm not talking rhetoric. Most of these people are listening to people online who are confusing them about immigrants and some other people. They haven't studied it. They haven't traveled outside this country, or people on the continent who have not traveled here, and they're not in the communities. When I went to East Africa as a student, I was dealing with the people, the local people from Nairobi. I wasn't up in the hotels mingling with Europeans. I didn't do that. Wherever I go, I'm going to talk to the people who are from that place to learn the truth about what's going on, not what Americans via media are telling me about the land. I don't do that. I've never done that. So I think what you're saying is true, but I think people have to know the history, because if they don't know the history, we're going to continue to have the infighting. They don't see the connection. The people coming here from the continent of Africa have been told that, whatever the lies were. When I was growing up, they had Tarzan movies about the continent of Africa. And this white man swinging through the trees, saving white people and beating up Africans. People were thinking that you're going to be boiled in a pot. Now, folk know that Europeans in this country were cannibalistic to the slaves. They ate us. They took our hair and stuffed pillows with it. They pulled our teeth out of our mouths. George Washington pulled out the teeth of slaves to use them for dentures. So if you don't know that, and you don't understand that those Tarzan movies were a lie to tell you untruths about the continent, if you haven't gone to the continent, if you haven't dealt with the people who are from the continent and talked to them when you go there, then you're going to have your head full of lies. So I think, to me, you have to start with the history. People can't just jump into seeing the interconnection if they don't understand or know the history. Please read Lerone Bennett, The Fall of the Mayflower. Read Carter G. Woodson, anything by him. John Henrik Clark. Read W.B. Du Bois. Not these Johnny come latelys, because they don't have historical information. Once you understand and read the historical information, you can see how we got here in terms of being not connected, not seeing how we are reflections of each other. And that's by design. That's by design. One thing, Europeans may not like each other, but when it comes to us, they become a monolith. They become a monolith. You don't know who's Jewish, you don't know who's Irish, you don't know who's Italian. That doesn't matter. Those people who walked in D.C. on the 250th anniversary of this country had their faces covered. They were of all white ethnicities. You didn't know who they were. They come together as a monolith. So we have to understand that the reason why they keep us divided is because once we understand that we need to come together despite our differences, it's over. It's over. Africa is the richest continent on the planet, and they are trying to rob and rape it, and people on the continent are coming into the awareness of that. And African Americans in this country support Ibrahim Traore. I mean, we support
Yes.
the Ghanaian president because he was the one that advanced the thing about reparations. So all of us are not fighting. Now, most of us I know, because I see myself as an Akabalan, which is my original name for people who look like me, and as a Pan-Africanist. So a lot of my friends think the same way. But the ones that are really vocal on TikTok and those other places, some of them are bots,
Yes.
BTS. They're not even real people,
Mm.
okay? And some of
Mm.
them are plants, like we know,
Mm.
like Kanye and Candace. They're plants. So we have to
Yeah.
understand what their role is. Their role is to keep us
Mm-hmm.
divided because they have been paid.
Yeah.
One thing I can tell people,
Mm-hmm.
I've been on this planet for a minute. Once Europeans see
Yeah.
that they can have you turn on your own people, they're going to use you like
Mm-hmm.
toilet paper and throw you away. You don't hear anything about Kanye anymore, Candace Owens, like the
Yes.
people on the continent
Yes.
of Africa. Someone said that there was this big, I don't know if you know about this, Dr. Earl, this fat Nigerian guy who jumps around and dances for white people like a buffoon, like a coon. And
Mm.
people are outraged
Mm.
about him. Okay. But then on the other
Mm-hmm.
hand, my nephew that I've adopted, like Abraham Traore, Godfrey is on it. He's Nigerian.
Mm.
He dispels with
Mm.
the myths. So as long as they have
Yeah.
a Professor Jamila and a Dr. O, we can get to the heart of it. But they have to know the history. To jump people for them not to know the interconnection and how we got here through Tarzan movies, through supervised propaganda. Once they see this, oh, that's why we think the way we think. But just to have them jump
Mm.
in, we have to do the groundwork and have these kinds of discussions with people talking to each other and not being disparaging. You can't come into my house and then make negative comments about me. I allowed you into my house. That's not going to work for me. And then you're sitting up here becoming white adjacent, aligning yourself with the oppressor, like this woman did recently here in Atlanta, who opened up her restaurant to the white Republican candidate for governor, who has said where his allegiance is. People are outraged about that. And people are like, well, that's no endorsement. Yeah, optics are an endorsement. If you have someone who's an avowed MAGA racist, bringing him into a black-owned shop in this climate, that's an endorsement. So people are not being swayed by the rhetoric. We have to see how this started. People needed to be white adjacent from the continent. They want to be aligned with white people. People in this country being white adjacent. They want to be aligned with white people. That's the issue.
Mm.
And they do it because they see in their heads that white people represent power and economics. And that is not true. Whenever we have come together with black communities like Rosewood,
Yeah.
Black Street throughout the country, and even now, we have Atlanta Harvest Market. Black farmers who have excellent produce. Are we going there? Are people still going to Asian shops, restaurants, or whatever needs people hate you? So we have to sit back and stop, like you said, stop accepting the rhetoric and accept responsibility. But until how we got there, how do we get here? People didn't automatically come to this position because I know in the 50s when I was growing up, my mom didn't have this kind of mentality. They got here through social media. They got here through bots. They got here through the Kanye West and Candace Owens, through celebrities that we now see were plants because they're living large, right? But then they don't understand. When white people drop them, like you were saying in South Africa, when white people drop them, then they come running back to our communities. We say, you're not invited to the cookout. So everybody in South Africa who kicked out the immigrants who were adding to the economy, who were not making disparaging remarks about them, who were helping the economy, are now learning. Like in this country, kicking out the immigrants in this country. Now, white farmers are crying. There's no one in the farms. All those positions, now they're crying. So racism is very costly. Racist imperialism is costly.
It's you're so right, and when the government, now I'm going to talk about South Africa. There's a young lady here or a young man or whosoever who's very determined that the South Africa does not need immigrants because all immigrants are illegal. They are not contributing anything to South Africa. Well, we will find out soon, wouldn't we? Um,
But they're finding out.
I'm praying.
Finding
Wait a minute.
out.
I'm praying that they are able to handle not having immigrants. Like I said earlier, there are bad people in every group. They're bad South Africans. They live all over the world, but some of them are in jails. And one of the things that I did ask this person, do you not have South Africans in jail? If it's just other Africans, is it just other Africans in jail? Don't you
Yeah.
have South Africans in jail? That means that you have some bad people in there. But you see, such mentality, when people have that kind of mentality, they are operating from emotions. It has nothing to do with
Yes.
mental, knowledge. It doesn't, because like I said earlier, you can find somebody to blame for your problems. Okay, you don't see the merit of them being there because you've been convinced that they are the problem. The thing about it, life has a way of teaching you a lesson.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
hoping that South Africa, like this young person is talking about, that they find all the wealth within their country to share amongst themselves so that nobody else will come there and benefit. Let them have their country. Sooner experience is the best teacher, isn't it,
Hmm.
Professor? Sometimes you
Yes.
have to live and learn, live and learn. Because I know that when South Africa, she says this is a propaganda. Well, I know for a fact that South Africa benefited from the rest of the world. They didn't do it on their own. South
Yes.
Africa benefited from all the other Africans that they insulted. Nigeria gave millions to South Africa. But these young people don't know that. They don't want to know. All they know is how to stomp and curse other Africans. But I'm going to tell you right now, many of some of us Africans, we've gone beyond that. We are no longer interested in hating other Africans. You say it's
Right.
not hate. Well, to me, it's hate. When you see only the ill in another community, but you don't see the good, that's hate.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But if
Yeah.
you want to join, if you want to be part of the solution, don't berate, don't put your whatever negative thoughts somebody has put in your head, don't put it on other people. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? Use
Yeah.
your head and think. Yeah, is it every Nigerian that you know that's bad? Is it every Kenyan? Is it every Ghanaian? Is it every Ugandan? Hmm? Is it every South African that is bad? Should I now start hating South? I'm not going to hate South Africans because not
Right.
all of them, as a matter of fact, a lot of them are on the internet crying, saying that this was wrong. It's South Africans saying it, not me. If you don't believe me, go to the internet and hear your own people talk about how this was wrong. The
Mm-hmm.
government should do something, do the right things. If immigration is not being conducted properly, then do the right thing. Put immigration as part of a program that you're going to correct.
Mm-hmm.
But those people who are there doing the work, they don't treat them like dogs and animals. And you, for some
Mm-hmm.
reason, you think you're better. You're not better. We are not better. No,
Mm-hmm.
nobody is better. No black person is better than another black person. None.
Mm-hmm.
If they
And
are
that.
criminals, then criminals deserve
Yeah.
whatever they get.
Yeah.
Criminals deserve whatever they get because they're criminals in every group. But we
Yeah.
cannot. And that's why I want my brothers and sisters to understand. Today, today is somebody else. Tomorrow it will be you. Hmm?
Oh, exactly.
Your people
Exactly.
are
Exactly.
your people are chasing South Africans. I mean, chasing other
Exactly.
people. Well, you have South Africans in other countries. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
An eye for an eye, which is
Yeah.
bad, which is not
Yeah.
the way to go. But you know what? If you think you're so perfect, if you think you're so good, right? Then get out of other people's countries yourself.
Yeah.
Because there are lots of South Africans all over Africa. They need to pack their stuffs and go back to South Africa. Let's
Mm-hmm.
see how that works for us. Let's
Mm-hmm.
see how that works for us. So
Mm-hmm.
pack your bags. You're all in other African countries. Pack your little bags and go back to South Africa. Because guess what? You keep that attitude. If you think it's okay to disrespect fellow Africans, you may get disrespected. And I hope not, because that's not the way to solve the problem.
Yeah.
But what's good for the
See,
goose is good for the gander. We must remember that. We
yeah.
must remember that and do the right thing. Here,
That's a diversion.
I want to
That's a
I want to
diversion.
close this.
Yeah, it's a diversion. Just quickly,
Yeah.
the real issue is not about the immigrants. The real issue is that you have Europeans in South Africa that own about 91% of the land and businesses. That so to turn, and that's what they did in this country. It's very clever to turn on people who are the least enfranchised, and then people get distracted. That's the playbook the Europeans have used around the world. So it's not even about the immigrants. That's why I said it's important for people to understand the history of Nelson Mandela. Why was he locked up for 27 years for just advocating for his people? They don't understand that. So once they understand the history, so that's what I'm saying. It's important. That's why they're trying to ban it here in this country. Once you understand the history, you can see the connection. So it's not even the immigrants. It's the white South Africans who own most of the land, who own most of the economy in South Africa. That's the issue. And the other people are scapegoats. The same thing in this country. That is the issue.
That's right.
We have less than 1% owning the economy in South Africa. That's where the attention needs to be.
That's right. That's right. Now, I just wanted to give a little closing remark here. Thank you so much for your wonderful comments, Professor Jamila Franklin. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you here. I want to read this message.
My sister.
This message for my South African brothers and sisters. You need to engage in open dialogue with immigrant communities. You have to acknowledge their contributions and also address the fears of you locals. You have the right to address your fears, but you don't do it by killing people. You don't do it by maiming people. You don't do it by destroying people's lives. There should be a concerted effort to foster unity rather than division. Division is not going to solve the problem. They are not your problem. It's a collective problem. Emphasize it. Collective problem. Your government should intervene and do something about immigration. Immigrants can be part of the solution, not the problem. And furthermore, economic policies must be revisited to create jobs and opportunities for everyone, for the locals and the immigrants alike. Investment in education and skills development can help bridge the gap. Equipping South Africans with the tools they need to compete in a changing economy is important. The situation in South Africa is a reminder of economic hardship that can create divisions within society. We must recognize the invaluable contributions of all community members, regardless of their origin. It's time for South Africa to reclaim its legacy of unity and solidarity, not just for its citizens, but for the continent. That is very important. And that is what I'm hoping that those who joined us today understand. Illegal immigration is a crime. We get that. We get that. But there are illegal immigration everywhere. It has to be handled properly. It's a crime to kill an immigrant just because they are an immigrant. It doesn't give you the right to kill them. It doesn't give you the right to destroy their lives. Being an immigrant does not mean that you don't have the right to live.
Right.
So killing people and using machetes and all that kind of stuff is savagery. It shows savagery, savage intent, savage tendency. You treat another human being like a human being, not because they're on your land. If you have a problem with them being there, do the right thing. Go to your government. Do something, but don't threaten people's lives and kill them and maim them. There's a young man that just got killed by South Africans, not like, anybody else, but South Africans. And he was married to a South African. They killed him. They killed him, a boxer. And it was South Africans who killed him. He was a Congolese. Let me read it. Yeah, a Congolese. Killed the day before yesterday. He married a South African woman and built his life there, and they killed him. It wasn't Nigerians that killed him. It wasn't Kenyans. It wasn't Ethiopians. It was South Africans. So that barbaric tendency you have to hold really back. It doesn't make you look good. Don't tell people about how bad immigrants are when you are the murderers, killing people. If you don't like murder, then don't commit murder. Anyway, thank you so much, Jamila, for joining us. And of course, one more thing, please, my brothers and sisters who have the opportunity to come to America, it is important that we respect people who live here. We respect those who made it possible for us to achieve whatever it is we've achieved. Salute to the South African, to the African Americans, and
Yeah.
salute to those sensible Africans who understand how to be humble and how to be grateful and gracious. And so it is. Thank you, Professor. Another
Michelle,
wonderful show with you.
yes, thank
I
you.
enjoyed it.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. And I want to thank all of you who joined, those of you who, even those who I disagree with, I want to thank you for your contribution to the discussion. Believe it or not, you matter, your thoughts matter. And I hope that you will come back next time and join us as we continue our conversations on the Ntomodu Show. Oh, one more thing. Happy birthday to you, Jamila. You know, I want to
Birthday.
just remind you, I want to remind you, birthdays are to be celebrated, not
Oh,
just
yeah,
one day, even
all
the
month
whole
long.
year. That's
All
it.
month
That's right.
long, all year long. I love me. I'm like, how am I going to celebrate the birthday of some dead folk and not celebrate me? That's crazy. I'm not doing it.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right. Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do lunch. Let's do lunch.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Dr. O.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm trying to end the show.